Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to Stormgate Central, and today I've got another guide for you guys. We're going to be getting really deep into the economy of the game here, so I want to cover absolutely everything to do with the economy, all of the little tips and tricks I have for you guys on really optimizing it. I know some people have put out guides on this in the past, but a lot of stuff has changed going into early access. I've discovered a lot of new maths, let's say, to do with it, so I wanted to show and share with you guys all of my findings here. So the first thing you need to know about the way Luminite mining works, which is of course the primary resource in Stormgate, is that on each of the Luminite mines here, there are 4 different nodes. So you can see there's one here in the center, there's another right next to it, and then there's one on either of the sides. And at the moment, we have 2 bobs going to either side, there's also one on that side there. Now what's going to happen as soon as the 9th worker gets added is this guy's actually going to go on the middle 2 lanes. So if you just right click on the Luminite mine, or if you've indeed rallied, you're going to see in a second that he is going to join one of these lanes, and then the 10th worker is going to do the same thing. And if you look closely here, you will notice that once you have 3 workers in either of these inner lanes, one of them essentially stands there and does nothing. Right now, this guy is just waiting for his turn, now this guy's waiting for his turn, and now this guy's waiting, etc. So actually, it's more optimal to take these 2 out of the middle lane, and now you'll see that as soon as this guy finishes mining, they switch. So what you want is these 2 guys on the outer lanes, because if you go and check these out, you'll notice a bit of downtime, right? This guy leaves and there's nobody there mining. Unfortunately, though, the way that the AI works is that it's going to send these workers 9 and 10 to those middle lanes, and then it's going to put workers 11 and 12 on the outer lanes. So there is a way that we can trick the system, or trick the AI into putting it where we want it to go. The easiest way, and I would recommend this for newer players, is just to build 12 workers here. Okay, so there we go, out comes the 12th worker, and now you're going to notice that there are 3 bobs on all of the lanes. And once you have it like this, you just want to go and take a couple of bobs there from the middle lanes and go and put them on your Therium. And now you will have 3 bobs on the outside lane here, 3 on this outside lane there, and then 2 on both of the inner lanes. This is the most optimal way to use your workers. You are going to get a slightly higher mining time by putting 12 bobs on here, but most pros are going to be doing this. They're going to have the 10 workers there, and then they're going to put 2 on Therium and start to get some Therium mining going. But there is a way that you can actually trick the AI into putting these guys on the outer lanes instead of the inner lanes. So what you can do is send these guys to Luminite mine that are on the Therium, then send these 2, and the AI will then allocate them to these outer lanes, and then you just send these guys back to mine on the Therium. So you click here, click there, and then send these guys back to the Therium, and now you'll notice that the 2 bobs that did go and mine there are on those more efficient outer lanes. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is in mining time, if you have 10 workers on the Luminite mine on the less efficient route, so the way that the AI will automatically do it for you if you just rally your workers on there, it's going to come down to 496 Luminite per minute. If you have the 10 workers on the more efficient routes and you use this little trick here, it's going to come down to 524. So that's a difference of 28 Luminite per minute, which is nothing huge. So if you are a new player in the game and you don't really need to be worrying about these kind of things, right? Overall, it's going to make a very small difference in your play. But if you're somebody who's looking to take your game to the next level, this is something that pro players, for example, are going to be incorporating into their play, and it might just be something that you want to keep an eye out for, and you want to make sure that you work on that. Also, if you have 12 workers on there, the difference is going to be 604 Luminite per second. So 496 for the 10 workers on the less efficient lanes, 524 on the more efficient lanes, and then for 12 workers, it's going to be 604. So again, rather than building workers number 11th and 10, you're better off actually going and expanding at your natural and getting up to 10 workers there, and then later on in the game, you can fill out those 11th and 12th worker spots. Now, one other little tip I want to point out here to you guys before we move on to Therium mining is that if you've got 12 workers here, you want to be selecting 2 of the workers from the middle lanes to go and build stuff like this, and then send them back to mine again, and they will go back on those central lanes. That's just more efficient than taking the workers off of the outer lanes, because, as we've already discussed, you're going to harvest more Luminite per minute there than having 3 workers on the inner lanes. However, if you are somebody who's using these quick macro buttons, what you need to know is that the AI will always choose the worker that is closest to wherever you want to build. So if I hit Q and then S, you're going to notice that it pulls a worker off the top lane there. If I go and build a habitat down here, it's going to pull one off the bottom lane. If I go and build something behind the Luminite mine, again, it's going to pull a worker off of that outer lane. So it's very difficult to get the AI to take the workers off of the middle. In fact, the only way it will work is if you build something directly here, and the closest worker, if in that time it didn't even work, if the closest worker is one of the guys in the middle lane, it should pull them off there. But you can see most of the time, wherever you're going to be building on the battlefield, the closest worker, it's going to be these guys on the outside, right? So that's why you kind of want to get used to building things manually and manually selecting those two workers there from the middle lane, especially when it comes to like transferring your bobs down to this expansion. If you want to go and make a command post there, take them off the middle lanes. Now, you may also be wondering how Luminite mining works for the other two races. So, for the Infernals, it's going to be exactly the same. You're going to have 12 imps. They're going to go in the same 4 lanes as the bobs. And it works exactly the same if you use the quick macro keys. It's going to pull those imps off of the outer lane, so you want to be manually selecting them yet again. For the Celestials, though, things are a little bit different. There you get the collection array, and you can have a maximum of 4 prisms mining on a Luminite mine. And actually now you no longer need a collection array to have the prisms on there. They can mine on Luminite nodes without a collection array. But the way they're going to work is one of those 4 prisms, each one is going to go on one of the nodes, so there really is no advantage or disadvantage to taking them off of there because they don't actually move. They just sort of sit there and harvest, and they passively harvest and gain the resource. However, something is interesting here. So for the Vanguard and the Infernals, the cost of getting your shrine or your command post is going to be 400 Luminite, and then it's going to cost you 600 Luminite for the 12 workers to fully saturate that Luminite mine. It's a little bit different for the Celestials, so it's going to cost you actually 450 in total to get a collection array, and then it's going to cost you 500 to get the prism. So that's a total of 950. It's going to be a little bit cheaper than it is for the Vanguard or for the Infernals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do they harvest less Luminite than the other two races? Well, like I said before, 12 bobs harvesting for 1 minute will give you 604 Luminite. On a collection array for the Celestials with 4 workers on there, you're going to get 575. So pretty comparable there. Obviously, I haven't run these tests for as long as I should, which should, probably be like hours. I've only done them for a minute each, so there is a little bit of inaccuracy there, but it's pretty much on par with a command post with full bob workers or a shrine with full imp workers. If you actually have no workers there and you just have the collection array, it's going to be 290 Luminite per minute, which is exactly half of the amount that I got when I had 4 workers. So you can think of a collection array without any workers as operating at 50%. With the 4 workers, it's going to be double as much Luminite from that particular mine. However, since the workers cost 500 Luminite and the collection array only costs 450 and it gives you the same amount of Luminite, it's actually more efficient as a Celestial player to go and build a secondary collection array at another mine rather than to construct 4 prisms and put them on an already existing collection array. Now, obviously, there are other things to bear in mind here. As you spread yourself out across the map on more expansions and you build more bases, you are more open to attack as well. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there. Now, when it comes to Therium mining, which is going to be the secondary resource in the game that's going to allow you to get all of your Tier 2 and Tier 3 units, all of the good stuff, the way that it works is that you'll have a Therium mine, and it will constantly spawn these patches of Therium every few seconds. And once all of the patches that can spawn have spawned, you're going to start to notice that they will become enriched and they will start to glow green. Now, what that means is that your worker will actually take 50% less time to harvest that patch of Therium than if it was a regular patch like this. So there you go. Now you can see that all of the regular patches are full and the Therium here has begun to enrich. So I'm going to show you guys the difference. If we go and send this guy here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It took him about 7 seconds there to harvest that. If we go and put him on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about half as long as it takes to get the regular Therium. And for that reason, you want to make sure that you're not mining this too fast, because if you start to mine it out, the Therium won't actually enrich. And the optimal number of workers for that is going to be 4. If you have 4 workers on here, you're going to get a decent amount of Therium, but it's just going to be under the point where the Therium is still going to continue to grow, it's still going to continue to enrich. However, if you add the 5th worker, you're going to be harvesting the Therium now at exactly the same rate as it's able to grow, meaning it's not going to grow anymore. Now, you can put more workers on there as well. You can go and put as many as you want. If we go and put 11 on here, you are going to harvest Therium, of course, a lot quicker, but it's also going to mine out much faster. Now, you may also wonder, is there any limit to this mine? Will it continuously spawn Therium throughout the remainder of the game? And the answer is no. Eventually, it will start to calm down, it will cool down, and there won't be any more Therium spawned from this particular mine here. Now, something that changed from the past playtests is that there was actually a bug in the past playtest where if you didn't have vision of the Therium, it actually wouldn't grow. And so a lot of the time you would see players building a building down here close to this Therium patch in order to make it grow. But you'll notice now in early access that that is no longer the case. This Therium is all starting to enrich. And if we head over here to this side of the map, look at that. 2 huge patches of enriched Therium. So as the game goes on, you're going to find that all of the Therium on the map that has been left alone is all going to be enriched. So it's going to be much more valuable to you than it is at the start of the game. Now, something else worth knowing as well is that once a Therium patch has enriched, again, I don't know if this is a bug or not. I'm not sure it's supposed to work this way, but at least in the current build, once a patch has enriched, it will actually stay enriched for the rest of the game. So right now I've got way too many bombs on here. They are going to start mining out this enriched Therium, and every single patch here has enriched already. And what you're going to notice as we get rid of some of this Therium is once it spawns back, so let's get rid of the bobs now. If you look when it spawns back, it will actually be enriched again. So there's one. And there's another just spawned. So as these patches start to regenerate, you're not actually having to wait for the individual patches to enrich themselves again, which means that waiting for all of your patches to enrich and then starting to mine them is a massive benefit, in fact. Now, something else you guys may have been wondering about is, what about the resource towers? What about the creep towers on the map? There are Luminite towers, of course, and if you capture them, you will gain a passive income of Luminite, and the same goes for the Therium towers. And then all of the creeps themselves drop resources. But how much are they actually worth? So we've already heard that in early access, they have buffed these resource towers to be more lucrative. And I did a little bit of testing here. So for the Luminite tower, it will actually give you 150 Luminite per minute. And the collection rate of a single worker, like a Bob or an Imp, is 68 Luminite per minute. So that is roughly the equivalent of having 2 Bobs or 2 Imps mining from Luminite. So not bad at all there. So if you go out on the map and you take 2 of the Luminite towers, it's almost like a third of an expansion. So definitely you don't want to sleep on those towers. Make sure you capture them. And when it comes to the Therium towers, it gets even better. So the Therium towers will actually give you 90 Therium every minute that you hold them, and the Bob collection rate, and bear in mind this is for like a regular start of a game where you're in your main and you don't have a scrapyard or anything like that to reduce the walking distance. It's just going to be going from the Therium to your main, and it's not going to be with enriched Therium. The Bob collection rate, or the Imp collection rate there, is 30 per minute. So 90 per minute from a tower is actually the equivalent of having 3 Bobs on your Therium. So if you go and take that Therium tower very early in the game, you almost don't have to put any workers on Therium at all. You can just almost solely rely on keeping that tower. So that is going to be very, very important. Now, you're also, of course, like I mentioned, going to get some resources from killing those initial creeps at the towers. And as far as I can tell, the only place you can get Therium from creeps is if you take a Therium tower. Most of the creeps are going to give you Luminite, but one of them will always give you some Therium. So that is going to give you a little boost there at the beginning of the game, maybe allow you to get out and upgrade super early or something along those lines. And then another thing to have in mind is that the health camps and the energy camps, those creeps at those camps, they don't give you anything. No Luminite, no Therium. The only reason you want to kill those camps is if you actually need the health or you need the energy. All of the other camps, though, they will give you Luminite. So the speed camps will give you Luminite, and the same for the observation creep camps as well. So there you go, guys. That is going to do it for this video. I know it was pretty in-depth, pretty advanced. I did a lot of testing to get the results of this, to figure out what is the most efficient way of mining and creeping in Stormgate. So hopefully you learned something new in the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be a lot of content coming out of me here over the next weeks of early access, including casts and guides and build orders and all of that good stuff. I'll also continue, of course, to bring you guys the news on Stormgate. So if that's something that floats your boat, then hit up that subscribe button. And as always, guys, thank you so much for your support so far. But otherwise, guys, have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next video.